Hello, everybody in biology class. You don't have to do anything with the slide that's on there. We're going to talk about that in a minute. It's just an example. You will need to be in your Google Classroom for a PowerPoint, and then also for some Power Notes, which are listed. The Power Notes are listed under daily work, and the PowerPoint is listed under PowerPoints and Notes. Hope y'all had a nice weekend. Cody says, kind of, sort of. I got to see my 6-week-old grandson, so that was the best thing of my weekend. I got to go visit him. They grow fast when they're that age. All right, well, we'll go ahead and get started. This is going to be an example of what your journal will look like. So we're going to start with one of these every day. Y'all will not actually be responsible for one on Wednesday. So starting Wednesday, you need to either have a composition book or you need to have a spiral. And then you'll start putting that into your composition book. Hey, Jakyle, how are you? If you can move your camera a little bit, please, sir. Then you'll be responsible starting Thursday until the end of the 6 weeks, which is in September. And then we will use it to take a, y'all will use it to take a major test at the end of the 6 weeks. You can use the journal. So on a journal slide, you'll see that it has an EQ, it has a date, has an EQ, it has the objective, it has what the journal is, and then it has the agenda. And I try to put some reminders on there if we have a quiz or something coming up like we do this week. We are going to have a quiz, actually a couple of quizzes. So for your journal, you need to put the date, you need to write the EQ, and then you need to answer the journal. You do not have to write the journal question. If it says something like, what are 2 things, then you need to be sure and number those. So on this one, you want to put 824 of 20, you would want to write the EQ. And then the journal is, what do you think biology is? And what are 2 things we may study in biology this year that you think? So does anybody have an idea what biology is? What do y'all think biology is? Jalen, you're going to have to give me some lights, please, sir. Anybody have an idea of what biology is? Nope. Would anybody have the idea of a couple of things you think you might be studying? Yeah, Caden says biology is the study of life. That's exactly what it is. Does anybody have a couple of things you think you might be studying while in biology or might be doing? What do you think that is one instrument that you have to use in biology that maybe y'all didn't use a lot in junior high to look at very small things?
Microscope.
Microscope. So that would be one thing. And then after we get finished with our EOC, then we'll be doing some dissection. So that could be another thing. So we're going to be studying cells and reproduction, be using microscopes, and we will be doing some dissection. Okay? All right. So if you wrote all that down, this is kind of what yours would look like. This is mine. You can see that it doesn't have to be real neat because it's yours. I'm never going to take up the journal. You're just going to use it for a test. You would write your date. You would write your EQ, and then here, I didn't write the question, I just wrote the answers. Biology, study of life, and 2 things that I think would be covered. So I'm going to do an example. I did it today, and I'll do it Tuesday and Wednesday, and then the first day on Thursday, that will be up to you. So the journal will start on Thursday. That'll be your first journal, and it'll go to 9/21, which is the end of the 6 weeks. And then that week of 9/21, we'll have our first 6 weeks journal. You'll get to use your journal to do that, and there is no retest on that. So if you go into a journal test with, let's say, 70, and you fail that, then that will fail you for the 6 weeks, and there is no retest, so you cannot redo it. I'll put the journals up in the Google Classroom. They'll be there for about 4 days. And then I'll take them down. And if you're absent, you're still responsible from the journal. So either get it from the journal classroom or then get it from a friend or from me if you want to come in for tutorials when we finally get back. Does anybody have any questions about that? Nope. Pretty good with that? All right. Okay, and then the other thing I wanted to show, I posted this in your Google Classroom. It's under announcements, and I'm going to try to do that every week. It just tells you what's going on. So it tells you what we're going to try to cover in class, and then it tells you what is going to be assigned, and then it'll tell you when we have a quiz. So like the PowerPoint that we're going over today, we'll have a quiz over that on Wednesday. And then we'll go over another PowerPoint on Wednesday, and we'll have a quiz over that on Friday. So it tells you things that are assigned and when they're due. Also, remember, there's a lot of signature sheets in your Google Classroom. That's an easy way to get 100. If you don't turn them in, then you end up getting a 0. So please turn all of those in. Jakyle, I think you missed some things on Friday. Whenever you were out for football, when you're out for football, which is probably going to happen a lot for you since it's 8th period, you've got to get your exit ticket done ahead of time. And then you've got to go in there and see if you missed an assignment. So we did a really easy assignment on Friday. So you need to go in there and get that done so you won't get a 0 on it, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. So today we're going to be looking at this PowerPoint. It's not real long, and it's going to talk about the study of life. So just kind of an introduction to begin with. If you would like to follow along, it is in your Google Classroom under PowerPoints and Notes. And if you want to, you can grab a piece of paper and write some things that you think might be important. All right, let's see if I can figure out how to do this. All right. So we said biology is the study of all forms in life. Bio, that prefix bio means life, and ology means study. So like you have sociology, anthropology, all those different things. That ology at the end means study. So this is the study of life is what we're going to be looking at, all different kinds of life. From the very small cells up into our larger organisms. So Earth is going to be home to a very large and diverse life. Does anybody know what diverse means? Does diverse mean the same or different? Nobody knows? If we talk, if something, and we got something in the chat room, let's see what we got.
Different.
Different, all right. So if in the Earth, we have a lot of different types of organisms. Anything from us, obviously, down to little bitty, tiny, minute bacteria. The biosphere includes all living things and all the places that they are found. So bio means living, so that has to be the living things. It's not going to be things like nutrients or sunlight or anything like that, because those things are not living. Oh, already did that one. Let's see. All right. So we said it's a large diversity of animals. Every part of the biosphere is connected somehow to every other part. So even though we may have some separations and some differences with regard to climate, they are still connected in some way, and there is some crossover of those. So the biosphere includes many environments, and we have land environments and we have water environments. And we know where we are, depending on how close we are to the equator, is really going to kind of dictate whether it's a very hot part, like we see here in the temperate forest, or whether we have very cold areas up here that are very far away that would be considered our tundras. So some of the environments we also might see would be something as small as a tide pool. Does anybody know what a difference is between a tide pool and something like an estuary or a river? What does a tide pool do that other larger bodies of water does not? Like if I have a little tide pool maybe down on the side of the river, or maybe down at the beach, and it gets real hot. Does anybody know what'll happen with the tide pool? What happens when it gets real hot with water? Nobody knows? Evaporates. Thank you. So you're going to have organisms that live in a tide pool are going to be very different from organisms that live in permanent types of water, like an estuary or a river or something like that. Don't know what's going on here with my, let's see, we'll go to slide 5, see what we got. So we said biodiversity is the variety of life, and biodiversity generally increases when I go from the poles down to the equator. So in other words, what that is saying is the closer that we get to the equator, because it has more warm temperatures all year around, the more that the organisms are going to be diverse. So I have a lot of diversity close to the equator. And then if I get to the real cold North Pole or South Pole, then my diversity is going to decrease some. There's not going to be as many different types of organisms. They're going to be more specialized. So diversity is greatest closer to the equator. And when we talk about diversity, we talk about the amount of species that we have. A species is one particular type of living thing. So members of a species can interbreed to reproduce, but they have to reproduce sterile animals or sterile offspring. So an example of that would be like a donkey and a horse can breed and they can produce a mule, but does anybody know something about a mule that's a little different from a donkey or horse? If you've been around horses that much, you know that if you breed a donkey and a horse and you end up with a mule, the mule is always infertile. It cannot produce offspring. So that's because the donkey is one species and the horse is another species. So while they can breed, their offspring is not going to be fertile and it cannot reproduce. There we go. There's about 2 million different living species that have been identified in our world. And there's probably actually more than that. And there's just probably some we haven't seen yet, or they haven't been discovered yet. And then of course we know that we're losing some all the time. These are a special kind of little ants that we're going to talk about in a minute and watch a video. Oops. So those are called honeypot ants. And we're going to watch this little video that kind of talks a little bit more about them.
Welcome everyone to the amazing world of ants. On this channel, we continue to discover how epic the lives of these small insects truly are. The ant world is full of wonder, terror, adventure, kindness, and surprise. With over 600,000 subscribers now and counting, composed of you new and old AC family members, it is evident that ant love has and continues to swell to global proportions. And so, with it being Love Month and just a few more days to Valentine's Day, here on the Ants Canada channel, we wanted to feature the lives of an ant, which we have gotten so many requests to cover. With their huge swollen gasters full of food, these ants by far are among the most peculiar, interesting, and loved ants in the entire world. You won't want to miss all the sweet discovery ahead, so keep watching until the end, where we also announce our annual Ant Love Contest, where we give away a full ant setup. Are sweets the way into a lady's heart? Well, perhaps in this case, yes. Welcome everyone to the marvelous world of honeypot ants, here on the Ants Canada Ant Channel. Please subscribe to my channel and hit the bell icon. Welcome to the AC family. Enjoy. If you haven't seen them yet, these ants are the famous honeypot ants, native to western United States and Mexico. Indigenous people of these areas have eaten these honeypot ants for centuries. Could you imagine popping one of these juice-filled ants into your mouth? So what do these balloon-looking ants do anyway? What are they for? In honeypot ant colonies, some workers become what are called repletes, living storage receptacles that get fed so much food they completely balloon up and do nothing but hang from the walls and ceiling of their nest. Though they're called honeypot ants, those gasters do not contain any bee honey. The fluid inside these honeypot ants consists rather of simple sugars, unmodified from their original state, usually nectar from flowering plants, exudates from gulls, and the secretions of aphids and other plant insects. In this particular video, however, these ants appear green because they have been fed sugar water with green dye. This particular colony of honeypot ants of the species Myrmecocystis mexicanus belongs to a friend of mine named Drew, one of our yam farmers in LA, California. He houses this awesome honeypot ant colony in a simple plastic dirt container, with a smaller dirt container placed inside, forming a 1 centimeter space between the containers for the ants to dig, and then peat moss placed inside the smaller container to make it look like a natural wall. Don't the ants look beautiful? Wow! There you will see the queen, who is larger than all her workers and does not do any replete work. She's normal shaped, just larger. Here you'll see ordinary workers tending to the brood, making sure they're all well fed and cared for. Here are the pupae, the cocoons, and you want to hear something pretty crazy? You might have noticed that each cocoon here has a green dot. Usually these dots are black in the wild. The black dot on ant cocoons are called the meconium, the fecal pellet. So get this, when ants are larvae, their baby stage, they eat and eat and eat and continue to grow, however they never poop. Everything remains inside them, up until right before they pupate to become these cocoons. When they spin the cocoons, the final step is to poop out this meconium, meaning all the food waste they built up during the course of their entire larval stage. It therefore appears on every cocoon as a tiny dot. That's why the meconia on these cocoons are green, because they were fed green sugar water growing up. It made their meconia green. Isn't that amazing, guys? Imagine having a baby and it only pooping once in its entire life, right before teenagehood. And get this, what is even more fascinating is that this meconium is expelled inside the cocoon. And this lifestyle is perfect for them because pooping only once and inside the cocoon means their entire colony can remain as sterile and clean as possible, which is super important in an underground community of animals where it is moist. You see, in these environments, bacteria, fungi, and disease can thrive, so the cleaner the ants can be, the better. Less poop around means a cleaner home. This also applies to the repletes. Having repletes means that you don't have to have food laying around and getting moldy, which can endanger a colony. All food gets stored inside the repletes' bodies, and anytime a member of the colony needs to eat, they simply touch mouths, a process called trophallaxis, and the replete regurgitates some of its yummy contents. Ants don't need fridges. They have it all figured out. Honeypot ants are from arid regions where they experience long periods of drought and lack of food and water resources, which is why evolution has formed these ants into these perfect storage units. According to myrmecologists, nectar and honeydew are not the only fluids which these ants store. Apparently, there are also workers that are called aquapleats, which store water, and even a third type of replete that has been thought to contain body fluids of insect prey. So where can one find these ants? Luckily, they are native to US states like California, so if you're from there, you're in luck. You can find the queen elates from late winter to late summer in open dirt areas in the desert, foothills, and even arid mountain habitats. In most, if not all species of honeypot ants, mating flights occur following light rain. The favored time seems to be late afternoon or early evening. In arid habitats with their unpredictable rainfall, the honeypot elates wait until suitable rainfall occurs, and once it does, the males and females swarm from the nests and fly forth. Good luck to those of you who plan to look for these queens this year. There is also another type of ant called the false honeypot ant, Prenelopus imperus, which also have repletes, but they aren't as pronounced as the Myrmecocystis. Still really cool though. The good news about these false honeypot ants is that they are found throughout North America and actually have their mating flights soon, within a few weeks. They're also called winter ants because they fly so early in the year in North America, sometimes when there's still frost on the ground. So keep your eye open for them soon. Australia also have ants that are commonly called honeypot ants, and they belong to a completely different genus, Campanoris, the genus of carpenter ants. You can find these ants in arid regions. Drew keeps these honeypot ants in media that is relatively dry, but moistens it periodically and feeds them a diet of both protein through insects and sweet liquids like sugar water. They can also be kept in a dirtless setup, as seen here.
All right, I think we'll stop there on that one. I probably didn't even need to go that far. But the reason that they're green is not because they're actually green. The reason that those other ones were green is because of what they were being fed. They were specifically being fed green sugar water. But that is a certain species of ants. And those species of ants could not breed with fire ants or sugar ants or anything like that and produce offspring that were either viable, which meant they could live, or possibly fertile. So these types of ants have to be with their same species, and the same thing for a fire ant or a sugar ant. All right, let's see if I can know how to get out of that. All right, next slide 9, all right. So biology, or sometimes it's called life science, is a scientific study of living things, and more importantly, also how they interact with their environment is what we're looking at. Science in general is gaining knowledge. When you talk about science, that has to do with gaining knowledge, usually through observations. And especially in biology, we're looking at natural events and conditions that are natural in the nature. So humans have studied living things throughout history. Prehistoric caves, they don't really show pictures of people. They show pictures of animals painted on there. So they were studying and more interested in that even way back then. The first classification system, which is what we talk about when we talk about genus and species, I'm sure y'all have heard those words. That first classification system was all the way back in 330 BC. And then, of course, it's just gone on and changed drastically since that. Italian artist and scientist Leonardo da Vinci, I know y'all have heard him. He looked at and was one of the first people that started looking at the anatomy of both humans and animals. And then in the 18th century, as an industrial revolution took place, especially over in England, then that brought about significant changes, advancements in travel and communication also. So then one scientist that had found something out could then communicate it and share it with another scientist, which in the scientific world is a big thing, to be able to share what you find and what you know. All right, I think that's the last one. All right, so you're gonna need your slides open. In fact, well, you know what? I think I can do this. Maybe I'll just keep my slide open. Okay, please go into your Google Classroom. I'm gonna get back to the beginning of this. And then maybe we can work together. And y'all won't have to pull up your slide. Okay, so go into your, into your Google Classroom. Eunice, I need your video on, please, ma'am. And the assignment that we're going to do is the power note. So you want to go under classwork, then down here to daily work, and you want to do power note study of life. And come down to view assignment. That's where you want to open it at. Let me change mine out. Sorry, I forget. It helps better if I get on the student side. All right, let me try that again. Classwork. So I'm going to come down to daily work, open this up, all the way down to view assignment. And then you'll have this little square that says your work. You want to go into that Google Doc. And this is what we're going to be doing today and turning in, and I'll have back to you by tomorrow so you can use it to study. But you can see it's just really 4 definitions. So it's one of the things that you will want to study. But anyway, so if the first one is on slide 3, so instead of y'all having to pull up your slides, I think I can just pull this one up and y'all can find what you need to for biosphere. Okay, so you should be able to type directly on it, and you're just looking for the definition of biosphere, which is right here. The biosphere includes all living things and all the places that they are found. Jalen, could you please show me your picture? Jalen, did you find where you need to be typing?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Perfect. All right. Jakyle, did you find where you need to be typing on, sir?
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am. Okay. Are you in your Google Classroom for biology?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Go under, go under daily assignments and pull up where it says power notes. And it should be like 4 boxes, really just definitions. And the first one is biosphere. Did you find it? Yes or no?
No, ma'am. No, ma'am.
Okay, well, I'm trying to get back to it. Y'all can move on to the next one. I'll show it up here, but it is also in the PowerPoint that you have if you want to go ahead and get it done. Okay, Jakyle, this is what your Google Classroom for biology looks like, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, go under classwork. And then there's several, you want to go all the way down until you see daily work. Do you see that?
Yeah, I'm on it.
Okay, then open up the one that says power notes and come down to where it says view assignment at the bottom of that square.
Yeah.
Open that up and there should be a little square on your right hand side that says your work. And if you'll open that up, you should see the assignment that looks like this. So you're going to start off with typing here, biosphere. And there's your definition for biosphere. Includes all living things and all the places they are found. You got it? All right, somebody tell me what the next slide is. I have it put there in parentheses for your next one. Y'all have the assignment. Somebody tell me what the next slide says for your next definition. Thank you, Eunice. Right here it says, I think it must be asking for maybe biodiversity. Biodiversity is a variety of life. Okay, Jaden and Jakyle, I'm just going to get ready to kick y'all off. Jakyle, I can tell I'm not for sure what's going on. And Jaden, I'm tired of asking you to.
No, I'm using the restroom.
Just send me a chat for a minute and say I'll be back in a minute. That's all I ask.
Yes, ma'am.
Are we ready to go to the next one? If we are, somebody tell me what the next slide is.
Species.
Species. And what does it say in print? 7? Thank you. 7.
Yes, ma'am. Slide 7.
Thank you. There it is, right there. A species is one particular type of living thing. And they reproduce.
We just
And
turned
then
it
you're ready.
on.
Y'all ready for the last one? We got one more. If somebody wants to shoot me, is it on the same slide? If somebody lets me know, I can't remember.
Yeah, no.
I probably need to go down some more. Is that answered or no? What is? I can't remember what the word is. Oh, biology slide.
Slide 9.
Slide 9. All right.
Do we turn it in when we're done?
Yes, ma'am. You sure do. And then hold on, because you got one more thing. What am I doing? What am I doing here? And I will get these back to you. There we go. Biology right here, or life science, right? The first thing. Scientific study of living things and their interactions.
And there's one more, science.
Oh, sorry. It's on the same
Slide
one. I'm
9.
sorry. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, when y'all get through with that, I'm going to switch here and I'll come back. Remember, you would have filled all these out and you need to do this little turn in. That little button, turn in, so I can see it, okay? Now, before you close it out, go to your exit ticket. That's also in your Google Classroom, and do that too before you close it out. So when you get through, make sure you go and do your exit ticket before you leave the classroom. You can't go and do your exit ticket later on tonight. It's got to be done during your class period. Jalen, you and I are going to come to a moment. You got to turn on your video. Okay, does anybody need me to go back to any slide to get a missing, did they miss the definition, anybody?
Yes, ma'am. Biosphere.
Which one? Okay, can you tell me the slide number, please, sir?
Slide 3.
Slide 3, all right. There you go, right there.
I got it.
All right. Anybody else need me to put one up that they missed? All right, if you got your 5 definitions down, you can turn them in. Do your exit ticket, please, before you leave, and then you can head out. And we're going to work on this study guide tomorrow. Study guide tomorrow off of these slides. So we will have a quiz over this on Wednesday.
Question. There's another thing of work that says homework, but I don't get it. Am I supposed to like write the definitions next to the thing or what?
Let me get back to where you're at. This was supposed to be homework, what we just did, but we got it done in class. Tell me who, Cody, that was you?
Yeah, the 1.2, not the 1.1. There's another one that says it's done today. Yeah, that one.
That is, oh, no, don't worry about it.
Okay.
Don't worry about that. That's actually probably, we won't get to that till next week sometimes. Thank you. That's my mistake. I like released it too soon. Thank you, Cody. I'll fix it. All right. Anybody else have anything? Any questions? Chicago, can I help you with anything? Or are you good?
Go, boy. You better answer.
Jalen, you're good?
Yes, ma'am.
All righty. Have a good afternoon.
All right.
Andrew, you good? I know you came in a little bit later. Andrew?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay. All right. I need to fix that. So this should have been